Yes, my peoples, what's happening? What's going on? Ashctizzy here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm here with Paul from the Leeds Therapy, who's a big Leeds fan. Welcome, Paul, man. Welcome, and thank you for coming on, brother.
Not a problem at all. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. Even after yesterday, I was still going to stand up and be counted. I'm not one of them ones to shy away after a game like yesterday.
Yeah, and I appreciate it because you know what happens? A lot of people, after a result goes against them, they agree to do a stream or agree to talk football, and then they're in their feelings a little bit and they don't want to have a conversation. So, yeah, man, big up yourself for coming on, bro, man.
Pleasure. Not a problem at all.
First of all, welcome back to the Premier League, bro. Leeds, everyone knows they're a massive club. I think Ellen Road is one of the biggest notorious stadiums in England. I know you lot haven't really been up in the Premier League for some time, but it's still Ellen Road, it's still Leeds. You've got big history, legendary players. I remember Mark Viduka, one of the all-time great strikers in the Premier League. So, yeah, man, how does it feel to be back in the Premier League and amongst the big boys?
It's really, really good. It's nice to be back, but it's also that thing of you've got to. I think it's very difficult for Leeds fans to do is to temper their expectations a little bit in terms of what we can achieve. I'm under no illusion of where we are and of where our position at the table at the moment, particularly when it comes to like transfers and stuff and where we see ourselves. If you give me 17th now, I'll bite your hands off without even having to question it whatsoever at all. This season for us is about survival. This season for us is 38 points, survive, and then build into the next season and just keep it growing and moving from there. But it is really, really good to be back. I will say we don't like the Premier League song that comes on before every game. That will get roundly booed by everybody. But it's just nice to be for us to be able to see Premier League games again. I mean, I went to the Everton game where we won 1-0, and I was impressed with the performance then against Everton. But the thing for me was that's the first time that I've seen us play a Premier League game in going over 20 some odd years, because I didn't manage to get to any Premier League games when we got back up last time around, just because you can't get tickets for love and the money. But yeah, went to a lot of games last season, saw us play really, really well, winning obviously most of the games, record points total, goals, just everything about us was fantastic last season, and it's now that adaptation in how we do. But it's really, really good to be back.
Yeah, of course, I can imagine. Yeah, there's absolutely no league in the world like the Premier League. I know, obviously, the Championship, like a lot of players do say, it's a bit more, it's tougher. It might be a little bit more physical and all of that kind of stuff. But the Premier League, in terms of like just all round, I think it's an amazing league. But yeah, going back to that the game last week against Everton, you lot played. I was impressed. You had more possession than them. I think shots, you lot had about 20 plus shots. So I can definitely listen. I don't think that Leeds are going to be. I don't want to down it, but I don't think Leeds are going to be up there. But I definitely do think that you lot are going to survive this season. And I think the main thing for Leeds is, if you do survive this season, then it's about building. It's about pushing on. It's about building. So I think that the main thing for this season is just about for Leeds to just survive in the Premier League, to maybe dig it out when you have to. I think yesterday as well, in the game against Arsenal, like in the first 15-20 minutes, I'll be honest with you, I was worried, because you lot kind of sat in the low block and we could not break you down. And I said to myself, do you know what? I've seen this happen with us so many times that what's going to happen is you might catch us on a counter, because you had Dan James over there on the right and his pace is an absolute joke. So I was worried that we might get a corner, you lot break against us, and Dan James scored. But luckily for us, we scored one of our stinkers that we get grilled for, corner FC.
You're good at it though. You train for it. You've got a very, very good set piece coach that does the work for you. That goal in particular it's really clever the way that's worked, because you had like 4 players that were on the right hand side that literally just all ran to the near post and left the space for Timber to run in, and Strout just didn't follow him in. Gruev came off the post for some reason, and he's there to put it into the far right hand corner. It's textbook.
Yeah, literally. And I was having a conversation yesterday. I said Timber he's a clever player, because Timber's not actually the tallest. We do have a tall team. I know Leeds have gone out in the transfer market, and I saw that you lot have basically bought a team of giants. So I thought to myself before the game, we're not even going to be able to score a corner. And then the irony that probably our shortest player on the pitch as in Timber is the one that gets the corner, even though he scored 2. But the first one, amazing movement. Like you said, it was very clever. I think our set piece coach is very good at identifying who we're playing against and switching it up. So it's almost like when you think that you've seen what we've done last week from a corner, we then switch it up to something completely different. Because even me, I was thinking they all ran to the front post. I thought, okay, what's going to happen here? But Timber managed to get his head on it and we went 1-0 up. But luckily, because I just felt like in that moment of the game, our fans was getting restless, and we've kind of seen this story before where we can't break down a low block team, and all of a sudden we get hit on a counter and you go 1-0 up, and then we chase the game, and then you go 2-0 up, and all of a sudden the Emirates goes toxic. So yeah, for me, I think that the goal came at the right time for us. I was very impressed with how Leeds set up against us in the first 20-30 minutes, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we did okay. We did a good job of holding it where it needed to be. I mean, I said in my match review that I did yesterday, there were a couple of changes that I would have made. Now, obviously, Ampadu, we had a massive Ampadu shaped hole in our as a defensive midfielder, so that was a bit of a miss. Gruev for me was probably the wrong person to bring in at that time. We should have had Longstaff. I would have thought would have come in, so we would have had Longstaff, Tanaka, and Statch as the midfield 3. But it was our forward player, Pirro, who was our top scorer last season. Very, very good footballer, clinical, unbelievably clinical. Yeah. I would have gone with Mecha up front, just purely because what we were doing with the low block, although it was working, we didn't have an out ball.
Yeah,
we needed that out ball to be able to just allow the defense to come up a little bit. And Mecha is very, very good at holding the ball up. He's very, very good at spinning and running in. And when you put Pirro, who's probably not the most physical player in terms of the way that he plays, up against Saliba or up against Gabriel, they're just going to eat him for breakfast. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things. And it was that was kind of a little bit of what I would have done, maybe sort of slightly differently. But once the first goal goes in, we were paying you too much respect as well. There was kind of a, we're playing against Arsenal. This is a bit. We're at the Emirates. We're playing against Arsenal, and we needed to be a bit more, show a little bit more physicality in what we were doing, and we weren't a little bit. So that was something that Farke needs to understand and needs to just say to look, get in the faces, get into them a little bit more. Don't be so standoffish. But Perry kept trying to play the long ball out to Nonto, who's like 5'1" and a bit.
Yeah.
And it's not going to work, unfortunately. So it's just kind of that being able to adapt. Like you said, your set piece coach is very good at working out the types of teams that you're playing against. It's us being able to adapt to the types of teams that we're playing against. Yesterday, brutal a lesson as it was, it is just that. It's a stark, harsh lesson that we need to learn.
100%. And I do feel like, remember, that was our first game at the Emirates. We played against Man United last week at Old Trafford, and we kind of stunk out the place and got a 1-0 win. So I feel like it was going to be hard for any team to come to the Emirates on our first game. Remember as well, before kickoff, we actually announced that we signed Eze. So there was a whole buzz about the club. Obviously, we spent all this money. We've got Gyökeres up top. It's his first home game. Yeah. I think it was going to be hard for any team to come to us. And I feel like exactly what you said, like Leeds did pay us a little bit too much respect, but I definitely understand and see why. I do definitely feel like it will be a completely different game at Ellen Road. But I feel like for your first game against one of the big boys, I feel like you kind of was standoffish and you kind of wanted to see how the game panned out. And then by the time we kind of scored our first goal, it kind of changed the momentum of how the game was going. I feel like the first goal in that game was very key, and luckily for us, like I said, I didn't see us scoring. We didn't really test your goalkeeper. We couldn't really get Gyökeres in. Saka wasn't really doing much. So I think that obviously, like I said, people call us Corner FC, but you have to give credit to our set piece coach because he's very good at identifying who we're playing against and how to get the best out of our players in the air. Especially like a lot of people are so fixated on marking Gabriel because, you know, he's the main man. So sometimes what happens is that you focus so much on Gabriel and you forget about the other players that are able to score from corners. And I feel like that's exactly what happened yesterday. And yeah, it come at the perfect point for us because I know Arsenal fans and myself, we was watching that game thinking, oh no, we needed that, and as well, Gyökeres as well. I think that you handled him quite well. To be fair, I think that it's going to take him some time to obviously adapt to how we play, but I was impressed with how Leeds handled him.
No, yeah, like I said, we did okay. I'm not, it wasn't. Listen, a 5-0 drubbing is embarrassing. I thought our fans were fantastic as well at the end, just singing and carrying on the way that they were.
Your fans are always fantastic, though, to be honest with you. The Leeds fans
we're
are
loud.
great.
We're loud. We're always going to be loud. We're very traditional in that sense. But we had the best chance up until you scored the goal with a Struijk header from the corner. Which was should have probably, if he to the left or to the right of the keeper, then I don't think Raya's got much of a chance on it. And again, it's a completely different game, because then that changes the way that everybody needs to play. But for me, it was the second goal that absolutely killed it off completely. So Gruev makes a really good tackle, but then tries to overplay it. Rice nicks the ball off of him, and that's it. Saka's in, and he's gone. Could Goodmanson have done a little bit better? Maybe, but that is quintessential Saka, isn't it? Going down on the outside, turning a little bit, and just absolutely rocketing it into the goal. So it's it's one of those things. People were blaming the keeper. It's like, you can't blame the keeper for that, really. It's just that's Saka. That's what Saka does. That's what Saka is very, very good at. That's why he's one of the best, right wingers in the world, as far as I'm concerned. He's a brilliant, brilliant player. But from that point, we just lost our heads then from that, and then the second half, as the second half went on, I don't know. I was surprised that we didn't make any changes at half time, because I thought, I would have brought on Nemecha, I would have brought on Longstaff, Okafor, new signing for us from Milan, who is going to be very, very good, by the way. We should have brought him on probably a little bit earlier as well. But look, at the end of the day, us losing or winning to Arsenal isn't going to define our season. What's going to define our season is the games mid-table down to the lower end of the table. That's what's going to define our season. If we can get some points from the top 6, fantastic. If not, it's the other bit that we need to concentrate on. The head loss from our fans is hilarious, because people still don't like Farke in our fan base. They still don't like him. Yes, I know he's got the reputation. He's not done well with Norwich on two occasions, but he wasn't financially backed. He's been backed this time. Just got to give it a little bit of time. But it was head loss FC at our play. We like to mire in misery and be upset about stuff. That's just Leeds fans all over, really.
To be fair, I do rate your manager, and I think that it's a thin line between. I feel like, I don't want to say that you need to get rid of him at all, but I think it's a decision that your board need to either stick out with him for the whole season, or kind of make that decision quite early, because you don't want to kind of get 3 quarters into the season and then you're chopping and changing and it's not working. So me personally, I'm all for kind of sticking with a manager, especially if you can see positives. And I feel like when you played Everton at home last week, I think there's a lot of positives for Leeds to take, man. I think that Ellen Road is going to be so difficult for teams to come to. I think that you lot are quite positive in the way you played. Like, I just looked at the stats now, and you lot literally had 21 shots against Everton. But Everton had 7 shots, and Everton are a seasoned team in the Premier League. Everton have been in the Premier League for years, for donkey's years. So playing against Arsenal, it's not going to define your season. Exactly what you said. It's gonna be judged against the lower teams and the mid-table teams. And I think that Leeds have got enough to kind of get through that wave and kind of get enough points on the board to not be too worried. The problem with the Premier League is sometimes it can be a mental thing. If you lose 3 or 4 games on a bounce, you start believing that you're not going to win a game, and then all of a sudden you start playing differently. Players don't want to play for the manager, and I feel like that's the only thing that can happen with teams that get promoted. But other than that, when I look at your squad, I think you got a good squad, and I think that if you can utilize Dan James a little bit more, because yesterday Calafiore is good, but he's not the quickest, and he also loves to play in that position where he kind of gets forward a lot. Now, sometimes I was watching a game thinking, Calafiore, get back, because he's playing almost in a cam, he's playing left wing. So I feel like if you can kind of work out a tactic to kind of not suffocate, but kind of absorb the pressure, absorb it, and then hit us on the attack quicker than what you done yesterday, I think that you lot will be fine. Again, you're not going to be judged against Arsenal, and especially not on our first home game of the season. We were so up for it, especially against a new promoted team, especially last week with not playing that great, but managing to get 3 points against Man United. We was kind of so motivated and we was kind of so up for it. So yeah, again, your season is not going to be judged against Arsenal, but it will be judged against the kind of lower, not necessarily the relegated teams, but the teams in the bottom half of the Premier League.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Also, as well, we're playing a bit of a new system compared to what we played last season. So we're trying to work with the 4-3-3 system, where sort of in attack where it moves to, I think it's 4-1-4-1 or something. I think 4-1-4-1 when we're not in attack, and it's just the players adapting to that a little bit as well.
Yeah, for sure.
It will take a little bit of time. We do need a couple more additions, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. Backwell we're interested in, who is a very, very talented winger, and another forward as well. So defensive wise, I'm okay with. It's that midfield thing and just the adaptability of the midfield. I agree with you in terms of, we need to find ways to be able to utilize our strengths a little bit better than what we have been doing. Dan James has been a bit quiet for me the past couple of games. Against Everton, he was trying to do things that worked very well in the Championship that don't work quite as well in the Premier League, where it's sort of slightly different. So, like a little flick and a spin on and a movement. Sometimes in the Championship it works. In the Premier League it's different. So I do think there's going to be probably maybe a month of us just adapting and changing to the actual veracity of the Premier League and how it actually works. So it's going to take a bit of time. I'm comfortable that we'll stay up. I think we will stay up. I think there are 3 worse teams than us in the Premier League from what I've seen so far this season. So I think we'll be okay. We just, like you said, it's the mentality of it and being able to go, right, okay, that one's we've lost. Let's chalk that one off. Let's move on to the next one and then work on how we can make things better in the next game.
Yeah, for sure. I think for the last few seasons, the promoted teams have actually been relegated, but I think this season is going to be a change. I think that Leeds and Sunderland, I think that you guys look a lot better than a lot of the teams. I think you both look better than Everton. I think that there are some teams that are going to be in trouble. Chelsea played against, who did Chelsea play against? Let me just double check. Because I actually watched the game. It was on Friday. Chelsea played against West Ham. I think West Ham are in big trouble. And for me as an Arsenal fan, I'm going to love nothing more. I'm going to love nothing more than the West Ham fans to suffer when they get relegated. I think that, I think West Ham have kind of, I don't know too much about their board, but I've seen them sell the likes of Declan Rice. I've seen them sell the likes of Kudos, and I don't see that they've bought anybody in. So the questions that the West Ham fans have for their owners is, where's that money gone? Because they've made a lot of money, but they haven't bought anybody in. So I definitely feel like there are a good few teams that are way behind the likes of Leeds and Sunderland. No, go ahead. Sorry.
So if you look at Fulham can't buy anybody at the moment for whatever reason. They're really struggling. Bournemouth, although Bournemouth have done all right, they've lost their entire defensive line.
Yeah.
You've got Brentford. Yeah, they did okay yesterday, but Brentford might struggle. Wolves are going to struggle a lot. It appears it's going to be that way. Burnley, unfortunately, getting rid of Trafford. Although looking at yesterday's match, that doesn't seem to be the worst thing in the world. But they got rid of Egan Riley, a really, really good defender. Brownhill, who was only second to Pirro in terms of G&A last season, who's just decided to move on to a new thing. They brought in Walker, who, in my humble opinion, as good as Walker is, he's not the same anymore.
Every dog has his day.
Yeah, and it just, you've got to. That's things that you need to look at and things that you just sort of need to be sort of mindful of. See, for me as a Leeds United fan, it's good, and that's why I come on and do. I'll come on and do a podcast with an opposing team. I'll come on and do the video with an opposing team because it's good to get a viewpoint outside of this, Leeds United bubble that we all kind of live in, and we can kind of go, right, okay, it's not as bad as what we think it is. It's not quite as awful as what it's. I'm sure it's it's the same for you. You get stuck in kind of like an Arsenal bubble and just think it's the. Listen, you're going to be there or thereabouts next season. I definitely think. I think Man City are going to be a little bit inconsistent, and Liverpool ship goals for fun because I think their defensive central defenders aren't. Van Dijk definitely seems to have lost 5 yards of pace. So
100%.
so fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah, we saw the Liverpool v Bournemouth game. And the thing is with Van Dijk, I don't want to discredit him because he has been an amazing defender, and he is an amazing defender. But you can see sometimes with him, he's not too aggressive when he wants to defend. So he's kind of a complete opposite to somebody like a Gabriel. Whereas Gabriel wants to kind of, as soon as you take a touch, he wants to be on you. Whereas someone like Van Dijk wants you to he wants to show you which way to go. And if you look at what Semenyo done to him in that game, he kind of went left, right, and hit it with his left. And Van Dijk was almost like, whoa, he didn't kind of know how to handle that. So I think you are definitely right in terms of Liverpool's back line. I think that they've lost, obviously, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's gone to Real Madrid, Robertson, who was a consistent left back, but obviously he was getting on. Now they've replaced them with Frimpong and Kirkes. Now Kirkes is great, but if you watch him for Bournemouth and you watched him against Bournemouth in that game, he's very rash, and he is a kind of a fullback that can get a yellow card in the first 20 minutes, and then it restricts his whole game plan. And then from then they would probably have to bring on Robertson, who we know is not playing week in, week out, so that's kind of a weak point. Frimpong on the other side, he almost plays like a right winger. So there's bundles of gaps. And then at the back, you've got Van Dijk, and then whoever plays next to him is kind of the hands being held by Van Dijk. And if Van Dijk is not on top form, then that whole back line kind of looks a little bit funny. As well as that, Liverpool have obviously lost, rest in peace, Diego Jota. They've lost Luis Diaz, and they've lost Darwin Núñez. So that's 3 attackers that was starting for them last season. Now, obviously, they've signed Florian Wirtz, and we're hearing the thoughts of, are they going to get Alexander Isak or are they not? I hope that they don't, but we'll see. But I just think that, I know it looks on paper that Liverpool are great and they've made all these signings, but I think that they've almost dismantled their whole team, and I think it's going to take some time for them to adjust again. So I think that people do have Liverpool high up there to kind of win the Premier League and XYZ, but I think people are going to be shocked with Liverpool because I think that they're in a big transition themselves. I don't know if, again, like you said, that's me talking from my Arsenal bubble, or that's just me kind of calling a spade almost. But obviously, time will tell.
Yeah, you're right. It will. It'll take time to gel. The thing with Van Dijk is, unless he's got somebody next to him who's quick, and Konate isn't quick, then he will struggle a little bit. It will be interesting to see how they move forward. I mean, you look at, obviously, Núñez is much of a muchness, but he was always a bit of a pain in the backside for defenders and stuff. I mean, you look at Luis Diaz, and he's tearing it up in the Bundesliga. It looks like everybody tears it up in the Bundesliga, really, to be fair. He's doing very, very well. It's just going to be interesting to see how it moves along. I mean, do we see, as we like to call them, scum coming through the channels with all of their signings, Man U, that they've made, and what are they going to do this season? Are they going to be able to sort everything out or not? I mean, that there's an offer that's coming for Fernandes, hasn't there?
Fernandes from Saudi, I saw that.
Yeah, 100 million they're offering, between 90 and 100 million for him. And they've said to him, look, it's up to him, make the decision if you want to go, kind of thing. That's should be interesting. But yeah, it's the problem that you've got with the Premiership, and you mentioned it in terms of, for the last 6 clubs that have been promoted, they've all been relegated. That gap now to breach between coming up from the Championship and being able to sustain it and maintain in the Premier League is so large now. You need to spend minimum 100 million on players just to be able to compete. Just to be able to compete. And then that's just to almost survive and then try and build on. So there's almost like that lower end, and then there's the mid-table bit, and then there's obviously there's a little top 6 block that's coming on with your standard teams that are always in there year in, year out. So it's trying to make your way through that, and it's a hard task. It's a very, very difficult job to do. And I agree with you. I think that Sunderland and Leeds have got a really, really good chance of staying up. Sunderland have gone kind of the Nottingham Forest route to throw money at it and see if they can make it stick. We've tried to be a little bit more pragmatic and statistical in what we do. in terms of the types of players that we bring in. We've been labelled as being Big Bastard FC, which is fake, because pretty much everybody that we've signed is over 6 foot tall.
Yeah,
Stack, who's
giant.
in the mid, Stack, who's at one of our centre midfielders, who works normally on the left hand side. He's 6'5", but he's very, very, very good. It wasn't his day yesterday against you guys, but again, that's because I think the lineup was slightly wrong in terms of the formation and what we kind of went for, which was a lesson that we had to learn. But it's trying to make that step up, which is the next thing. So it's the difficulty. We'll see how the season pans on.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's almost good that you kind of played us early, because I feel like you said, it's lessons learned, and I feel like we're one of the best teams at kind of knocking the ball around and kind of opening up defenses and then hitting them. So I think that we are probably one of the best teams in the Premier League at doing that. What we haven't had previous seasons to what we've got now is we haven't had a number 9. A number 9 who can kind of out of nothing just score. And that goal from Gyökeres yesterday, oh, did he need that? He absolutely needed that, because at halftime I already had the group chats and I saw the jokes on Twitter, and if he never scored against Leeds at home, I think that his confidence would have been down. I think that he would have started to doubt himself, even though he's a top professional. You're only human. I think that the Premier League is such a step up to any league. He's probably already heard all of the noise about you're playing in a Portuguese league. It's a different standard. You even saw actually when he scored the penalty, he started doing the hair flick. And that's obviously a reference to social media. So it's clear and obvious that these players do sit at home and see the trolls and see the noise and see everything that's spoken about them. So I think that for him, he needed that. I saw Declan Rice have the ball in his hand, and I was thinking, Dex, we need Gyökeres to take this. But yeah, I expect my number 9 to score from the penalty from the penalty spot anyway. But the first goal I was impressed with. He loves to drift into that kind of that left hand side and kind of drag defenders out. Then that kind of double touch that he done inside of the box, and then that the finish. That's what we paid the money for. So for me, I don't want to say I was super impressed with Gyökeres, but I think it's almost like a Haaland comparison, as in he's not technically great. He might not be the best in the build up, but we've brought him to score goals. And if he's going to kind of not be great in the build-up and not technically the best, but he's going to score goals, and for me as an Arsenal fan, I mean, I don't mind, because we've had Marino up front, we've tried Trossard up front, we've put Havertz up front. Do you know what I mean? We've tried literally everything in it. So for us to have a number 9 that can kind of maybe not be the best technical, I mean, maybe not have the best technical ability, but be able to score, I'll take that all day long. What do you think of Gyökeres' performance yesterday?
Up until he should have scored the first one that he sliced wide.
Yeah,
that's nerves.
Nervous. I could see it. He looked nervous.
The second goal that he scored, he did very, very well on the second goal that he scored, but the mistake we made was showing him the inside when we should have shown him the outside, if you know what I mean. Struijk came round the wrong edge of him, and somebody that has the finishing ability that Gyökeres has, it's going to finish. It goes through a crowd of players. The keeper, it's difficult for the keeper to see it. It's a good finish. Penalty, you can't. It's penalty. You can't do much about it. But I think he grew into the game a little bit more. It was funny about the hair flick thing, because I think the stat was that he touched his hair more times against Manchester United than he actually touched the ball, which was the really, really funny thing. But I think with him, I think he'll grow into the league. If I'm being hypercritical, I think he looks a bit heavy. I think he could do with losing a little bit of timber. Speaking as somebody that weighs 114 kilograms, I know what that's like. So he could do with losing a little bit of timber, I think. But the 9 position is something that Arsenal have been crying out for years, for absolutely donkey's years. You've almost had everything set up bar the 9, and it's just Gabriel Jesus hasn't worked properly. I don't think some of the other players that you haven't worked properly. You need somebody up there. If you're going to be a 9, that's going to be a target man, that's going to be a bit somebody that can lay the ball off, somebody that can spin, turn, and shoot at the same time as well. And it looks like Gyökeres should be able to do that. He got 2 goals. Yesterday. You can't knock it. That's 2 goals. That's 2 Premier League goals. He'll be fine this season. It's just him bedding himself in. And it's a big step up from the Portuguese league the Premier League. It's a big difference.
100%. It's almost not even kind of comparable. And to be fair, obviously we know he hasn't had the greatest pre-season, but exactly what you said, he does kind of look a little bit heavyish. He does look like he can lose some timber. And what I've noticed as well is that in the Portuguese league, I feel like he was probably better than everybody in that league, but he was stronger than everybody in that league. And he's almost come to the Premier League, and it's like it's like he wasn't expecting everybody to be this strong and this quick. And you can see it in some of the gameplays, because a lot of the 50-50s he loses. And again, obviously he will grow into it. He will get used to the way we play. But I think it works both ways. I feel like for Arsenal, we've got to kind of adapt to him, and he's got to kind of adapt to us. There was a few times yesterday where he's a number 9 that wants to play on the shoulder of the last defender. He wants that ball played into him, and he runs onto it and scores. There's a couple of times where we're knocking the ball left to right, and we don't normally hit that ball first of all. We kind of wait for an opening, and we kind of score that almost pretty perfect goal. So I do think it is going to take some time, but I am definitely optimistic and hopeful that he is going to have a successful season. I think that 2 goals will give him confidence. Obviously, if you look at it statistically, he's played 2, scored 2. So I know I'm being shameless with that one, but
take it. You take it all day long. You absolutely take it all day long. Technically, that's what the stats are there for.
That's what exactly these people want to bring up stats. So I'm going to bring up some stats as well. So he's played 2, scored 2, so we can't complain. Obviously, we got Liverpool next ourselves at Anfield, and we know that's going to be a completely different game. I think the physical game will suit somebody like a Kanate who likes to be physical, and I think that Gyökeres has got to be more clever in his gameplay now. I think that we all know we can finish. We all know that exactly what you said. Your defender should have shown him on the outside rather than the inside. I think that it is quite evidently clear that he wants to get it onto his right foot as quick as possible and release a shot. And I think that when we're playing against teams like Liverpool at Anfield, he's not going to get that luxury to be able to cut in on his right and hit it. I think that the signing of Eze, what somebody like a Eze will do is, if you look at the way Eze's played for Crystal Palace, is he wants to drift in all the time anyway. And Eze is good at slipping that ball in. He played with Mateta, who's kind of a similar stature of a Gyökeres. So I think that somebody like Eze will definitely help a Gyökeres' game. But on the other side, what I wanted to ask you as well is we brought on a 15-year-old, Max Dowman, who, you know, everybody talks highly of. Everybody says he's probably the best thing since sliced bar. He's the best thing. What do you think of Max Dowman? 15 years old, made his Premier League debut.
Very, very, very good player. Exquisite control at his feet. He's good at carrying the ball. For 15. You see, the thing is these 15-year-olds, they play with absolutely no fear whatsoever at all. We've got, I don't know if you're familiar with the Grey Dynasty in Leeds United. So just in terms of throughout the years at Leeds, there's practically always been a Grey playing for Leeds United.
Yeah. You got Archie and Harry. You've got Harry Gray right now, right?
Yeah. So Harry Gray's the younger of the 2 brothers. Archie's now at Spurs. Yeah. Harry's ridiculous. He's an absolutely big-headed twat, but that's the confidence that he has. In terms of natural ability for finishing, he's unbelievably good, like unbelievably good. He plays in the under-21s. He gets some moments into the first team as well. I think there's going to be a bit of a transition period for him this season. But these kids, they play with just absolutely no fear at all, and it's very much for the love of the game. You know what I mean? So with that being the case, he looks very, very good. He won the penalty. You know, some saying it's a soft penalty. Listen, we got a soft penalty against Everton, but it's a penalty.
Yeah,
but it's a penalty. It is one of those things you can't really whinge about it. So he's got a very, very bright future. I hope that Arteta uses him correctly and doesn't push him forward too much to the level of expert. But I got the feeling from looking at him, he doesn't strike me as the type of person that won't thrive under the pressure. I mean, he's gone out at the Emirates and just absolutely bowled out for however long he played for yesterday. So he's a very, very good player.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree, and I think that I watched him. Obviously, I've heard a lot about him, but the first time I actually fully watched him and was fully invested was when our preseason started. And we were talking about bringing Max Dowman on preseason, and he's very great, he's good in this. And the first game he played, I was almost gobsmacked, because I said, you know what, the amount of confidence that this kid has, and it's not only just the confidence, he's got the ability to back it up. I think he won us 2 penalties in preseason. So that kind of shows you kind of what kind of a player he is. Kind of as a defender thinks that he's going to get the ball, he's kind of got that quick feet to kind of move the ball, and you kind of touch his leg, or like I said, it's subjective, but for me it was a penalty. But again, the game's gone soft. I mean, 10, 15 years ago, the ref would have told him get up. But how the game's gone now, a penalty is a penalty. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Max Dowman. What I do like about Arteta is, for us anyway, he has brought in quite a few youth players. So when Odegaard went off yesterday, we brought on Ethan and Weni, who come from our academy, who's still another young boy. I think Ethan's about 18. We got Miles Lewis-Skelly, who last season made his breakthrough season. He started off as a central midfielder. He's gone as a left back now, and you can see that he's still learning. He does make some mistakes, but he's another one that's come through our academy. Obviously, we've got our star boy Saka, who come through the academy. I know it was Unai Emery who kind of gave him his debut, but he gave him his debut at left back, and he was kind of started off as a left back, and then Arteta's seen, you know what, this guy, he's better than a left back. Not that a left back is not a good position, but he's so positive on the ball.
It's more attacking potential.
Yeah, so I'm definitely loving the fact that we do give chances to the youth players. But as you said correctly, it is about using him correctly. At the end of the day, he's still 15. He's still a boy. He's still growing. Yesterday I saw him. He don't have a moustache. He's got braces in his mouth. They said he's only in year 11 in school. He's still got his GCSEs.
He can't use the same changing room as the men up until he's, I think it's 17. So you're not
17,
allowed to. So he has to get changed by himself. We had that with Archie Gray and Harry Gray as well. It's unbelievable. It's really, really good to see. And look, at the end of the day, if you're good enough, you're old enough. Wayne Rooney was the absolute provocateur of that, being if you're old enough, you're good enough. Mind you, we're saying that. I think Rooney was pretty much 36 years old from the point that he came out of the womb. It's looking at him. But it is pleasing to see, because what that does do is just, it does give you hope that it's not always going to be about spending millions and millions and millions and millions of pounds on players. It's about nurturing the talent that you've got in your pool and bringing them forward, and then bringing them, and that natural progression into the first team squad, which is what you want.
Yeah, for sure. So it's definitely looking positive for us. And again, like I said, it's a long season. It's only really and truly game week 2. So there's nothing to kind of be celebrating about. I saw the Tottenham fans yesterday screaming, we're top of the league, as the Tottenham fans do. After game week 2, they also told us that they were signing Eze, and Eze picked Tottenham over Arsenal. But as you do,
so funny. That was so, because it was done. It was done. He was going to Tottenham, and then the next thing we know, oh no, he's not. He's coming. I think Eze potentially is the missing piece of the puzzle for you guys. I genuinely think he is. He's a brilliant talent. Absolutely phenomenally good talent. So yeah, I think he's. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that one works out this season. But I do think he could be the missing piece of the puzzle for you boys this season, anyways.
Yeah, same. I think that Eze is such a game changer, and I feel like even like in the game yesterday, where you need that one player to just do a little bit of magic to kind of open up the defense when it's a low block and they're defending great, and we're kind of scratching our heads for ideas to say how are we going to get past this team. I feel like Eze is that type of a player that in them type of games, he makes a difference. I know that there's a good stat for us in terms of against the top 5 clubs, we haven't lost in a couple years. I know that doesn't mean that we've won a trophy, but if you look at it, for us, it's not the top teams that we struggle against. It is the teams like Leeds and Fulham's and them type of teams that kind of sit back and hit us on the counter. And we haven't had that kind of a player that can open them up and kind of change the game and force the team to stop playing in the low block. And I think that for us is a good example of yesterday. When teams kind of sit in that low block and they defend quite quite well. If we don't score, it becomes a big issue, as in we get frustrated, we can't do anything. But then as soon as we get the one goal, you've almost got to change how you're defending and how you play. And then it gives us the opportunity to kind of get a second, get a third, get a fourth, and hopefully get the fifth. So I think that what Eze will do is he'll kind of stop that early, if that makes sense, rather than it go into 60, 70 minutes and it's 0-0 and all of a sudden we get hit on a counter and it's 1-0 down. We're 1-0 down. I think Eze is a good game changer to kind of 20 minutes, 1-0 to the Arsenal, and now the whole game's different. And now you have to come at us because you want to equalize. So yeah, it definitely is positive for us. I think that it's positive for Leeds as well. I think that your next game is you got Newcastle at home. Obviously you've got a cup game against Sheffield Wednesday, but in terms of the Premier League, you got Newcastle at home.
I couldn't care less about cup games. I could not be any less invested in cup games this season at all. So I'm looking at we've got Newcastle. It's on 30th of August, and it's a late kickoff again. All of our games have been late kickoffs so far. This thing but I mean, we said the same thing. What you were just saying about the low block, it was exactly the same for us last season. Teams just sat in a low block on us, and we struggled with it. We struggled to break down the low block until something like a little bit of a moment of magic came in, and invariably that would normally come from Manor Solomon, who we got from Tottenham on the left-hand side. Very, very tricky, capable player. Or it'd be Nonto, or it'd be Dan James, or it'd be just having that little bit of stardust to break it down and just to change it up a little bit. So, yeah, I feel you on the low block thing. We suffered with that last year. I mean, we only lost 4 times last season, but that's the the big difference between the Premier League and the Championship. But yeah, that low block is an absolute pain in the arse to try and break.
Yeah, the Premier League's cruel. It shows you how cruel it can be. You can be all over a team and all of a sudden you're 1-0 down. I think the Premier League is very it's a league where if you take your eye off the ball for 1 second, you just need to take your eye off. You can be great for the whole game, but if you lapse in concentration for a second, then you can be punished. And that's any of the teams. And that's why they do say the Premier League is the greatest league in the world, because the actual ability from the top to the bottom is like no other league. If you look at like La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga, you got maybe 4 teams that are great, and the rest are just, they almost get spanked 7-0, 6-0, 5-0 week in, week out. The Premier League's a league where if we don't concentrate against Leeds, we can lose the game. If we don't concentrate against Fulham turned us over twice last season. So it's not a league where you can just kind of look at the opposition and say, you know what, we can kind of play a B team today and get away with it, because it's not going to happen. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for how the season is about to pan out. I think that for us, I'm going to get your opinion on this as well.
Go for it.
I think for us, this is the season, and it's going to be laughable because I said that last season, but but I genuinely do think that Eucharist, once he gets his full confidence and he kind of learns how we play, I think signing Eze, I think yesterday as well showed the great depth that we now have, as in Odegaard, our captain, he's gone down. I'm not too sure. Something happened with his shoulder. I think we're just waiting kind of test to see what the actual result is on that. We was able to bring on an Ethan, who's a great player as well. Saka, I don't know if it was his hamstring or it was cramp. Hopefully it's not his hamstring, because we don't want to see Saka out, because that could be detrimental to our season. But when Saka kind of goes off, we're able to put Noni on the other side, who's kind of a similar type of player, not as good, but similar, as in left foot, he wants to cut in and see what he can do. We're able to kind of do that now, whereas I think last season we didn't have the depth to be able to make these changes. And I think that even yesterday, after them two kind of went off, we still had quality on the pitch to get a couple more goals. So I think that that's the difference with us this season, and I am hopeful. I think that 3 seasons in a row to finish second, I think, isn't great. I think if you look at our back line, I personally think we've got the best back line in the Premier League. I think our 2 centre backs, the partnership that Gabriel and Saliba have, I think that it's perfect. One likes to go, one likes to sit, one's the aggressor, one's the kind of calm person. And I think that they've been playing together now for about 4 seasons. So they've definitely got a relationship. I think that if you look at, we got on the right side, we got Timber, and if Timber's not there, we got Ben White. The same on the left, we've got Calafiori, and if Calafiori's not there, we've got Miles Lewis-Skelly. So yeah, I think that defensively we're great. I think that we've now added a good few attackers to that team. I think Zubimendi, I think that he fits very well. I think that Rice's position has almost changed this season now with Zubimendi. Rice is almost playing as a pivot with Zubimendi. And if anything, Rice is a bit playing a little bit more deeper than a Zubimendi, whereas last season, Rice was almost in that left 8 position and he was the guy that was going forward. But I think that we've kind of changed it a little bit. And I think that it gives us a better balance. Even though I think Rice is good enough to bomb on, I think Rice is just a sensational player that can do a little bit of everything.
Rice is ridiculous.
He's a ridiculous player. I think he's a sensational player that can do a little bit of everything. But I think that with Zubimendi in that position, who's quite disciplined, Rice to sit next to him, and then with the attacking options that we now have, I'm very hopeful that this is our season. How do you think it goes for Arsenal, and who do you have as the league winners?
I think if you asked me right at the very, very beginning of the season, I think I would have said that Liverpool repeat, despite the defensive frailties. Their attack's just too good. But with that being said, the issue for me that Arsenal have always had, and it's been seeing it out to the end, you've got yourself in brilliant positions 2 or 3 seasons in a row, and for some reason the mentality side of stuff just seems to just slip down a little bit. If you're going to win it, this season is probably as good as any season to do it.
Yeah.
But it's just being able to build up momentum and maintain it. Like you said, the problem sometimes comes for Arsenal when it's the mid-table or lower table teams that can spring a bit of a surprise on you, and it's how you deal with a setback like that. And it's that's going to be the acid test for Arsenal this season. It's going to be how you deal with a setback like that. I mean, we're not even talking about Manchester City being in the equation at the moment. I still, at the moment, Man City is still all over the place for me. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. This season, you've got as good a chance as any, but I think Liverpool is still favourites.
Yeah, I agree.
But you have the potential to do it. It's the mentality side of things. Yeah. Same with us for staying in the league. If we want to stay in the league, it's a mental thing. We have to have the mentality to be able to do it. We have to have the mentality to put up with, we're going to lose more games than we're going to win this season.
100%, and exactly as you said, that like the football in general is a lot of, there's a lot of mental side that goes into it. You need the right mentality, you need the right group, you need a good core of players that can kind of pick players up when it's not going great. I'm very, very hopeful that this season the players have had enough of finishing second, to be fair, have had enough of being laughed at, have had enough of kind of being the nearly boys and all of that kind of stuff. Again, I'm not too bothered about cups. Of course, we need a cup, but I don't think that us finishing second and going out in the Champions League but winning the FA Cup is going to be enough. I think that that's still going to be seen as a failure of a season, even though it's crazy because it's still a cup. I just think that we're now at that level, especially with the money that we've spent, the amount that we've backed our manager. Arteta's now in his 6th season at the club, or 5th or 6th season at the club. It's now or never, and I think that we have to have that mentality that second is not good enough. I saw an interview with Odegaard, and he said that second isn't a failure, and I got my own questions on who I think should be the Arsenal captain. I think that all of Arsenal fans can agree we should give it to Declan Rice.
Should be Rice.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody knows that Declan Rice should have the armband. And if it's not going to be Rice, it's got to be somebody like a Gabriel, because I just think that exactly what you're saying, you need to have that whole mental capacity that you're a winner. You need to show it on the pitch. It's not just about kind of doing great things. I know Odegaard's great at setting the press, but in terms of a captain, my type of captain is a Declan Rice. And I saw Tony Adams come out in an interview and say, look, Arsenal won't win anything with Odegaard as a captain, which I'm hoping that he's wrong, but I definitely hear and see where he's coming from. And for someone like Tony Adams, who's been there and won it, and come into an Arsenal team and kind of got the armband, I think that sometimes that these managers kind of are ignorant to what these legends do say, which I understand why, because it's not their time now, it's kind of Arteta's time. But I think that sometimes just listen to what maybe the outside noise is. So yeah, I'm hopeful that this season is our season. And if it's not, I'm gonna have egg on my face again, because last season I sat here this time last year saying the same thing, saying we've got this player, we've got that player, but I genuinely do believe we do have enough fuel in the tank this season to kind of go the whole 38 games, to maybe have a blip somewhere down the line but bounce back. And yeah, I'm gonna back us to win the league. I'm gonna say that Leeds stay up, and I think that Leeds are gonna stay up comfortably. To be fair, I don't think that you're gonna be in a scrap for a relegation battle. I just think that there's a lot of teams, that a good few teams, that are not as good as you, and I think that the whole mental side of some of these teams, exactly like you said about Brentford. I'm very worried for Brentford. I think Brentford definitely do go down. And there's just a couple of clubs that I just think that Sunderland and Leeds are gonna kind of, I don't want to say have an easy run at, but I think that you're gonna be up comfortably. Where do you think that you lot will finish the season? I know you said 17th.
I mean, I'd take 17th now, but even after yesterday's game, I still think we finish 14th or 15th. That's where I see us finishing, 14th or 15th. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
I could end up with egg on my face now as well.
That's all right. Well, it could be both of us. Or it could be neither of us.
I see us doing enough to stay. I think we've got enough against the mid to lower table teams to be able to stay up. Absolutely fine. I think we need to get something like, we need to average 1 point a game, which gives you the best chance of staying up. 38 points, 38 games. Yeah. That's what you need to average. We're currently on 1.5.
1.5. Yeah.
So I'm happy with that. So we've just got to, from a Leeds point of view, we need to realise that it's going to be a struggle. We need to realise that we've come from being a big fish in a little pond to now being, regardless of how big you think Leeds United is, we're now a little fish in a big pond.
Yeah,
and that's something that we have to do. Oh, so what's the right way of saying it? To get bigger, we need to feed off of the clubs in and around us, and the only way by doing that is getting the results and being as good as we can be. We have the ability to do it. We're a very, very good team when it's working right. It's just games like yesterday, we can't mentally let them affect us. Noah Okafor put out a post on Instagram yesterday. So new start, he came on in the second half for us yesterday. Got him for 18 million from AC Milan, and he's just put proud to get my first minutes in, on to the next one. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, forget what's just happened.
Yeah.
Just move on to the next one, because that's all that we need to do. It's the next games that we need to move on to. So yeah, that's the important thing. Mentality. Don't dwell on it. You can't dwell on it. It's put it right on the training pitch and then go out and do the work that we need to do.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the mentality to have. You kind of, the game's happened, we move on. Who we got next? We're going to get 3 points in the next game, and that's it. You just kind of keep it moving. And that's the mentality that you need to have to stay up. But yeah, Paul, appreciate you coming on. It's been an amazing chat.
Thank you.
And yeah, like I said, I'm gonna be definitely looking out for Leeds this season. I think that you lot are gonna be okay. I think, like I said, I've got you as 15th as well myself. So I don't want to have 2 eggs on my face, but
I'll let the team know that that you've said that we've got to finish 15th. So
yeah, that's it, brother. But Paul, where can they find you?
So my channel is it's called the Leeds Therapy. Obviously, the hints in the title. It's a place for people just to listen either to me, not rant off, but try to give a sensible older man version of breaking down stuff in terms of gameplay, and then just allow people to have at it in the comment section and say what they want to say. So you can find me on YouTube on the Leeds Therapy. On Twitter, I will never call it X. It's always Twitter to me.
Yeah, same.
You'll find me again. Just search under the Leeds Therapy. I'm on TikTok as well, where I post up shorts of the videos that I do. So you can find me under the Leeds Therapy again on TikTok. That's all the places that I'm at.
Perfect. And I'll put all of the links, all of the socials and that in the description. So people, please go over and watch Paul's content, like, comment, subscribe, and all of that. But yeah, Paul, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you, and hopefully we can do more content throughout the season, man.
Definitely. Give us a shout and say you can come on over onto mine. We'll have a chat again.
Yeah, man. Perfect. All right. Appreciate you, Paul. Yeah.
Anytime. Take care.
Take care, man.